If you grew up in the 80s, you probably had a crush on the beautiful and naive Daisy Duke from the show The Dukes of Hazzard. Catherine Bach, the actress who played the character of Daisy Duke, was highly popular in the 80s. Let's take a look at the life of the woman who popularized denim cutoffs and left millions of guys starstruck. Childhood. Bach was born to Bernard Bachman, a rancher, and Norma Jean Casera, an acupuncturist. Her mother was a Mexican and her father a German. She often visited her grandparents in Faith, South Dakota. Her mother wanted her to become an English teacher, but life clearly had something else planned for her. She graduated from Stevens High School in 1970 and later studied drama at UCLA. She made money by making and selling clothes to her friends and theater groups. This skill of hers would prove to be really useful in the future, as she would go on to make costumes for her character Daisy Duke on The Dukes of Hazzard. First performance. Bach got into acting at a very early age. Her first performance was in the musical The Sound of Music as one of the children. She performed on the big screen for the first time in the 1974 neo-noir mystery film The Midnight Man. The film was set in South Carolina, and Bach played the role of Natalie Claiborne. In 1974, she starred in the film Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. The Dukes of Hazzard. Bach found out about the audition for The Dukes of Hazzard through David Shaw, her husband. In an interview, she mentioned that the executive producer of the show was obsessed with Dolly Parton and wanted someone on the show who looked like her. Catherine Bach looked nothing like Parton, but was immediately selected for the role of Daisy Duke. The producers told her that she'd have to wear a white turtleneck, go-go boots, a blonde wig, and a poodle skirt for her role. Bach, not being satisfied with the costume, asked the producers if she could bring her own clothes. She wore a homemade t-shirt, a pair of denim cutoffs, and high heels. Thinking her pair of denim cutoffs was a bit too racy for the show, Bach was worried she wouldn't be able to wear them in a restaurant scene on the show. To change her mind, the producers made her go to a restaurant. When she got there, she realized all the waitresses there were wearing tiny miniskirts that matched the tablecloths. Bach has claimed in multiple interviews that the famous outfit that Daisy Duke wore was entirely her idea. Denim cutoffs are often called Daisy Dukes because of the popularity of the show and Catherine Bach's character. She's close to her co-stars. Many actors and actresses tend to end up hating the role that made them famous because it often overshadows the later work that they do. Catherine Bach, however, still loves the time she spent working on The Dukes of Hazzard, and she still talks about her co-stars fondly in interviews. In one interview, she mentioned that John Schneider, the actor who starred as Bo Duke, is her best friend. She's also close to James Best, who was her acting mentor. How Bach stayed slim. Most people don't know this, but in the 80s, Catherine Bach had her legs insured for $1 million. She mentioned in an interview that she stayed slim by dancing 3 hours a day, hiking, and swimming. She often speaks out against Hollywood's obsession with skinny women. She always claimed that she was skinny because she was an athlete and not because of any dieting plan. Her fans will know that she's put on some weight now. When asked about it in an interview, she said, "So what?" The Daisy Duke poster. In the 80s, the producers of The Dukes of Hazzard asked Bach to pose for a pinup poster. According to Bach, the producers wanted her to wear a bikini with her hair wet and slicked back. She was against it, saying she was an actress and not a beauty pageant girl. She eventually created her own Daisy Duke-inspired poster, and it went on to sell 5 million copies. The poster also caught the attention of Nancy Reagan when Bach took one with her to the White House for an old school teacher who was working there. When The Dukes of Hazzard ended in 1985, Bach went on to star in numerous shows and films, but Daisy Duke remains her most iconic role. She starred in the Canadian show African Skies, the American comedy show Monk, and as Anita Lawson in the CBS show The Young and the Restless. The Dukes of Hazzard, the film. In 2005, a film based on The Dukes of Hazzard was released. The film, called The Dukes of Hazzard, had a completely different cast. Catherine Bach was offered a walk-on role in the movie, but she refused because she hated the script. In fact, in an interview, she said she didn't even see the movie. When asked about her thoughts on Jessica Simpson, who starred as Daisy Duke in the movie, Bach said she didn't have any contact with her and she wasn't invited to be a part of it. Bach's husband's suicide and her daughter's. In 2010, tragedy struck when Catherine Bach's second husband, Peter Lopez, committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. Lopez was a lawyer for several famous musicians, including Michael Jackson, the Eagles, and Andre Bocelli. He wrote a suicide note, but his reason for taking his own life still remains unclear. Catherine Bach repeatedly said in interviews that her husband wasn't depressed or unhappy. He was a successful lawyer who had a very jolly personality, so she had a hard time understanding why he committed suicide. In an interview with the Huffington Post, she said that her husband's death prompted her to do research on suicide. In the same interview, she said he might have done it because he was abused as a child and he never got over it. Catherine Bach had 2 daughters with Peter Lopez, Sophia and Laura. Bach is close to both of them, and she regularly does yoga with them because she believes it helps them develop a stronger bond. She regularly talks about Lopez with her daughters so they can work together to help each other. Bach was one of the biggest stars in the 80s. Millions of people were glued to their TV screens thanks to her performance as Daisy Duke. One of the reasons why she was so successful was because she loved working on the set of the Dukes of Hazzard. She was close to all of her co-stars and is still in touch with most of them. What are your thoughts on the actress? Do you remember watching the Dukes of Hazzard when you were little? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to press that subscribe button.